Jason Sands, one of David Grush's 40-plus whistleblowers. Let's talk about that and a whole lot more today. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, well, Jason Sands, in his most recent Twitter Spaces or X Spaces talk, did say that he was one of David Grush's 40 whistleblowers, or at least that he was. So let's find out what he means by that.
Okay, are you one of the 40 whistleblowers that David Grush mentions?
I thought I was, but after David got pissed at me for coming out publicly, now I'm just one of 80. So I don't know what to think.
Now,
why is David Grush annoyed that you actually came out publicly when he came out publicly?
David and the rest of the guys were I guess, upset with me was because I didn't realize that they had all these plans, okay? And I think I shattered some of that in their mind, and that for some reason I was either going rogue or hadn't thought things through.
Anyway, I don't know if he went rogue or didn't think things through. I do think that David and the others do have plans, and they have a disclosure plan, and they are putting that in motion, and it's in motion. And if all goes according to their plans, we'll get UFO disclosure, or at least some measure of it. Are they going to eventually talk about some of the crazier stuff that Jason Sands talks about, you know, the secret space fleet and that kind of thing? Who knows? Will that come further down the pipeline? Should we have to wait for that? Should we just rip off the Band-Aid and get all the information out there? Well, maybe we should, but if we do, we probably won't get any congressional action that we need to get oversight of these programs, because that would be just too out there for them to do anything with, I think. But let me know your thoughts on that. But there you go. Jason Sands saying he was maybe one of David Grush's 40 whistleblowers. We don't know too many other whistleblowers except for Carl Nell.
Some of them have. One of them actually was in our article in the debrief. I mean, a former Army colonel named Carl Nell.
Yeah, Carl Nell is supposed to be one of the whistleblowers, one of the 40 whistleblowers. I can't wait to hear Carl Nell's testimony, especially if he has some sort of direct involvement with the program. I mean, if it's just all something that he's heard from somebody else, that's going to be less compelling. But if he does have direct experience with the program or some aspect of the phenomenon, man, that's going to be super juicy when that hearing comes out, assuming it ever comes out. But what about those 80 whistleblowers? You know, Jason Sands says that he wasn't one of the 40 anymore, or he might not be one of the 40, but he might be one of the 80. What does that mean? Well, we don't know exactly, or at least I don't. If you do, let me know in the comments below. But Chuck Schumer was saying there was a vast web of whistleblowers. Was he only talking about the 40 whistleblowers, or was he talking about the 80? Or is there more? Are there more? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Meanwhile, UAP Caucus says we have received confirmation that Representative Andre Carson remains committed to the UAP issue and has encouraged the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence to hold another public hearing. However, since he's not in the majority, another hearing from that select committee seems unlikely. Yeah, well, I mean, that's awesome. I'm glad that Carson is still committed to this issue. I think that the House Oversight Committee is where things are happening. That's where the David Grush panel came from. So I'm not sure about the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, unless the House Oversight Committee is somehow associated with that. I'm not quite sure where that part is coming from, but if you understand that, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, it was Tim Burchett and the House Oversight Committee that made the David Grush hearing happen, of course, with Ryan Graves and Commander Fravor. Meanwhile, yesterday I was talking about reptilians and reptilian shape changers and how there's the idea out there that they may have replaced world leaders and are secretly running the world. Now, I don't think that that's true necessarily. However, I think that there may be a basis of truth to these legends. There are reptilians, there are beings, not just reptilians, but other beings, Nordics, Greys, that seem to be able to change their appearance. Some of these beings do appear to live underground. From secret, Vatican archives from the 1500s, it appears that some of these underground beings were interacting with wealthy and noble families of Europe, in the 1500s. So I think there's some basis for this mythology that has built up around the reptilian beings. I just wanted to give a few more thoughts on that in case I didn't make it clear yesterday or my thoughts themselves weren't as clear as they are right now. But yeah, I think that there are underground beings that can change their shape. And they did have some interaction with wealthy, noble families. It seems like beings seem to seek out humans in positions of power, like, for example, the control group, and then they work with those humans for whatever their agenda is. But are there literal alien cities right below our feet? Or do they exist in some other state of being, a different vibratory state or phase shifted out of our reality? I mean, if we just got a shovel deep enough and dug down, could we be hanging out with the reptilians or whoever in some underground, grotto bar, in a subterranean city? Or does that not literally exist? Maybe it exists in some sort of consciousness state. Here's Garry Nolan talking about something like that.
Kevin, to be serious, I mean, this notion of the collective unconscious creating what we observe, that's right out of Jacques Vallée's thesis, right? That, it gives, or what Colin Kelleher would often say, it gives you back what you want, what you give it. You want something negative, it gives you back negative. You want something positive, you get back positive. I don't know. It's a weird. It's weird because it creates apparent synchronicities that are, I don't know, just make you sit up and pay notice.
So yeah, there you go. The collective unconscious possibly manifests some of this stuff. Now, UFO experience and paranormal experiences, as I often talk about, seem to be co-creations of you in the phenomenon. But could that also exist with the collective unconscious? Not just you interacting with the phenomenon, but the collective. And if enough people believed in evil, demonic, reptilians that are running the world, could you manifest that reality or tune in to the reality where that is happening? Because there could be multiple realities happening at the same time, and there is an idea out there that you can tune in to certain realities. So I choose not to tune in to the evil, demonic, reptilian reality, and I tune in to the reality reptilians are pretty cool. Meanwhile, check this out, a new piece of technology that may be able to detect UFOs. This is from David Hooper. He says, I had the honor of presenting our UAP detector to Eric Davis. During the demo, I showcased its capability to detect the potential blue shifting effect on electromagnetic waves, a phenomenon theorized by Hal Puthoff in his Spacetime Metric Engineer paper. And I read that paper. I didn't understand most of it, but what I did understand was fascinating, talking also about how this technology can kind of manipulate time. Had a lot of interesting stuff in that paper, but part of it was this blue shifting effect. So could their new device detect that blue shift and thus detect UFOs? I guess we'll have to wait to find out, but stay tuned because we have a new piece of potential UFO detection equipment. Meanwhile, Dr. Kevin Newth has been talking about some things that tie into two recent stories, the reptilians and the underground cities, and also the being's interest in our nuclear weapons. I don't know if I said nuclear right. I can't say that word. I'm a Texan. Nuclear. Yeah, close enough, guys. Here's what Kevin had to say.
I think that the consensus seems to be that these are technological vehicles, right? So if they're extraterrestrial in origin, potentially they arrived a long time ago also.
Yeah, so some of these seem to be technological vehicles. Some of them are still rather strange, and we don't understand what they all are. But the situation's not quite clear, because it appears that these the reaction times of UAP to events such as the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster, where you now have radiation released into the environment. UFOs were there the next day in the area, and so it only took 24 hours for them to get there. So they're not all coming in from interstellar space. They live here in some sense, you know.
They live here in some sense. Does that mean phase shifted out of our reality in some way? Does that mean in literal subterranean cities or some other fashion? What do you guys think? But it is very interesting that UFOs did show up over Fukushima a day after the disaster. As interested as they seem to be in our nukes, it would be very nice if they could prevent a disaster. Why wait a day, guys? So, but it is what it is, and they did show up, and he's right, that probably indicates they are not coming from a distant star. Although, who knows, maybe they can travel from star to star that rapidly. But in that case, how did they get alerted to the Fukushima disaster? Maybe they had probes. Who knows, guys? But more likely, they came from here. And once again, they are very interested in our nukes for whatever reason. Is it because of the bleed over into other dimensions? Are we disrupting their habitations in wherever they live, or someone else's habitations in wherever they live? Or is it for some other reason entirely? Either way, UFOs are definitely interested in our nukes, and they do seem to live here. At least some of them. Meanwhile, mainstream media continues to report on UFOs, and I love it. This is amazing. Hole spotted on Mars could be a gateway to ancient alien life. This is from MSN, rebroadcasting a story from the Daily Mail. I love it. I don't know about this hole on Mars and if it is really all that, but I love that mainstream media is reporting on it. This is huge. And another one from Fox News. UFOs soar from taboo to presidential. Time has come to inject UAPs into the elections, Institute says. I love it. And I've gone over this before about the idea that presidential elections, the next one, they could get a UFO question. Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, even if it's a stupid answer, it would still be amazing to get that as a regular question. From now on, the president has to talk about UFOs. And with each election, I'm sure the answers will get more in-depth and more serious. So I love it. I can't wait for that. The upshot of all of this is that now we have people like Michael Shermer, famous UFO skeptic, slowly getting aboard the UFO train, slowly starting to acknowledge the reality of UFOs. From Vicky Verma, famous skeptic Michael Shermer just had Robert Powell from SCU on. Shermer reads a part of Michael Schallenberger's article which alleges U.S. military is in possession of at least 12 alien spacecrafts. Powell says he knows people who worked in the programs that Dave Grush testified about. And here is Michael Shermer talking with his guest, Robert Powell.
Program Airborne Object Identification and Management Group. A different contractor said there
and he's reading the paper.
Were at least 4 morphologies, different structures. 6 were in good shape, 6 were not in good shape. There were cases where the craft landed and the occupants left the craft unoccupied. There have been high-level people, including generals, who have placed their hand on the craft, and I would have no reason to disbelieve them. I mean, this is astonishing. I mean, he's telling me this. I'm like, well, Michael, this is huge. I mean, who is it you talk to? Can't tell you. Can't reveal my sources. Like, oh.
So
come on.
Yeah, okay, so I love that. And that shows the importance of people coming out of the shadows. People like Shermer are willing to take credible sources seriously, even though they are skeptics of the whole thing. If credible people come out and attach their names to it, they will start to take it more seriously. But the momentum is building. Mainstream media is covering it. Presidents might be asked about this stuff. And skeptics are now opening their minds to the possibility of UFOs. It's going to help a lot when David Grush's 40 whistleblowers have names attached to them, other than Carl Nell and potentially Jason Sands. We need, all the others, hopefully people that are direct participants in the programs. And it'd be wonderful if they would be allowed to show some of the evidence that we know they have. David Grush presented classified evidence to the IG. He's not been allowed to show any of that, but we know he presented it. Likely others of these whistleblowers have evidence as well. They're probably not going to be allowed to show that. It's very frustrating, but at least they can come forward. And once they come forward, and we get the public and the media and everybody galvanized, and we can galvanize Congress into taking more action, then hopefully we can get that evidence. But I love it that we have people like Shermer now opening their minds to this reality. Last but not least, you want a refreshing shower? Check this out. Yeah, check this out, guys. It's apparently located in Russia and spews both water and fire at the same time, guys. That looks bracing. That looks refreshing. I'm going to jump right in, guys. Let me know what you think about this awesome shower and everything else covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, all that kind of good stuff. Buy some merch in the merch store to support the channel. Become a channel member because channel members are rock stars. And I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much, guys. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel. And I will see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.